Hello gems, Leah from Red Emerald Yoga. Welcome back to my channel for today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing Original Tarot 1909. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's Tarot Original 1909. The typography kind of throws me off, but I think it's Original Tarot 1909. So I ordered this deck a long time ago. I started using it and I forgot to do an unboxing of this deck. But I got this deck on pre-order from magic.com. So it's a really cute deck. It's like the Rider-Waite, but it's got the original colorings. When I first got this deck, that just kind of went whoo, right over my head. And I didn't like the colors originally. And then once I understood, oh, they're the original colors, I instantly fell in love with it. So there's only one spread in this deck. In this little mini guidebook. It's a 3-card spread, so we will use this spread at the end for a sample reading. It's got your really basic little white book, not very in-depth at all. If you are not familiar with the meanings of the tarot, I recommend you getting a more substantial guidebook. Here's the inside of the box. It's a low scarabo deck. Has the little symbol here, and I do like that this is a 2-part box and not a tuck box. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes they're hard to open when I do that, but we have our little insert here. And on the back, so I went ahead and I put these all in order again because I was already using this. But that being said, it's been used for, I don't know how long, over a year. And it still looks really, really good. You can't tell that I've used it at all. So this is not the deck that I go to. For those of you who watch my videos, you will know that the Rider-Waite deck is my favorite deck. I love the way that it shuffles. I love the way that it reads. I love the traditional imagery. Okay, but I do like pulling this deck out sometimes for clarifiers, especially when I'm doing large spreads with my original Rider-Waite deck. If I'm traveling, this is really easy to throw in my beach bag and go. Takes up almost no room. If I'm doing a large spread, like an astrological spread or something with like 12, 13 plus cards, this is really nice because all the cards fit nicely on my table. So that's usually when I'll reach for this deck. When I first saw this deck, I was kind of turned off by the colors. I was just like, oh, I like the colors, and that's not something I normally say, but I was like, I like the colors in my Rider-Waite deck better. Normally those colors are pretty garish. But like here, I didn't really like how this flag was more orange instead of red. But now I love this deck. Now I have no problems. Some of the colors are a little bit more muted than the traditional US Games Rider-Waite deck. I also have the Centennial Edition, and that one also has muted colors. One of these days I'll have to do a comparison video of my Rider-Waite decks that I have. I'll have to put them all in order and put them side by side. That'll probably be fun. So right off the bat, I do like the box. I like the size, that they didn't do a giant guidebook for this tiny little deck. That would have just been really strange. So I do like the size of the box. I like that it's durable. I like that it's not a tuck box. I think it's very functional, and I have taken that deck out of my home already and brought it back. And it survived a couple of beach trips with just, let me see, one dent here and one tiny little dent there. I don't even think that you can see those. So I have received Amazon packages in worse condition than that deck has gone to and from the beach a few times. The cover art is amazing. And I have to say that when I bought this deck, I thought that the colors were going to be like this, very vibrant and bright, but they were not. So that was like my, I thought the reds were going to be like this Tarot 1909. I thought the yellows were going to be really bright. And so that was my mistake. There were no pictures available at the time when I bought this deck because it was on pre-order. So I was pretty disappointed. This one's pretty vibrant though. This yellow and red, and the black is really dark. So some of them, I guess, are more vibrant than others. I like the way that the cards feel in the hands. They feel really good. They're not too thick. They're not too thin. I really like that. The corner is roundish. It's not exactly round, so that would be something that I would have liked to see round, but it's not that big of a deal. They glide really nice in the hands. There's no stickiness or gripping, and they're not too slippery so that they just want to fly all over the place either, so that's nice. Even though I've had this deck for a while, I will do a really quick sniff test. Let's see. Oops, I dropped something. So there's no smell. And this is not a deck that I use all the time. It's only come out a handful of times. But there's absolutely no smell to this deck. After being, I don't know, like 1 or 2 years old and coming out a handful of times. I don't notice any fingerprints when working with this deck. One thing that I do notice is that it does have a bit of a glare. So if you're doing video readings or taking photos, that's just something you'll have to contend with, but it's not too bad. And it's about the same as my regular Rider-Waite deck as far as glare goes. I'm going through my list. The art quality, clear, blurry, muted. It's a little on the muted side, and some of the colors, like where they're red in my US Games Rider-Waite deck, they're a little different, but now that I know it's based on the original tarot, without enhancing the colors, I like it. One thing I've never done is I've never stood this one next to the Centennial Tarot deck, Centennial Rider-Waite. So I'll have to do that. But I'll probably, if I'm going to do a comparison, I'll probably just find all of my decks and compare them. Talk about the pros and cons of working with each of them. Does it remind me of a deck that I have? Yeah, my Rider-Waite. Is it for newbies? Yes, I do think as a newbie, this would be a good deck to start with. I always recommend that people begin working with the Rider-Waite deck, especially if you're taking a tarot course. This is usually the deck that they work with. One thing I want to say, I'm certified to read tarot through 2 different schools. I wanted to compare and contrast the 2 different ways, and both schools brought in color into the curriculum. One school featured it much more predominantly than the other, but they both touched on the topic of color. So one thing I want to point out, since I have multiple Rider-Waite decks, there may be minor differences in your colors. So that's just something to note. Okay, let's see how this deck shuffles. It's really tiny, but if you wanted to just kind of like do a little bit of a drop, you can. I'm trying to get some reversals back in there because I had this deck really well shuffled and now it's not. But this is my preferred method of shuffling, just an overhand. I do like this deck to spread out and just draw like random cards. That's really messy, but yeah, just picking, you know, different cards. This is a deck that I like to hold in my hand. It's really not intimidating at all because of its size, and let my clients choose cards straight from the pile. That's something that they always enjoy doing. Another thing that I like doing with this deck is just a big messy pile. It's really tiny. I really enjoy that with my, so I like doing it with my miniature decks, but I don't like doing it with my chunky cards. Sometimes I feel like those are a little bit difficult to do the big messy pile until they're broken in. And this is a really easy way to get some reversals in there. Okay, what else is on my list? Will I keep it? How will I store it? Yes, I'm keeping this one. I've had this one for a while. I just keep it in its box, and I have a little section in my tarot cards for miniature decks. So that's where that one goes. Who might like it? Rider-Waite enthusiasts, people who are traditionalists. If you want a miniature deck, if you're looking for a second deck for larger spreads, this is definitely a contender. Who might not like it? Somebody who doesn't like the muted colors, somebody who does not like miniature decks. Even as far as miniature decks go, this is on the smaller side for miniature decks. Let me see. Who else might not like it? Some people don't like the religious imagery. Some people don't like the nudity in the Rider-Waite. Some people don't like the clothing. It's, you know, like an older style of clothing. Some people get scared by some of the images. Like some people don't like the tower. That's a little bit too scary. I think I passed the devil already. Maybe I didn't. I know some people don't like images like the death or the devil. Sometimes these images are a bit scary. Personally, I think these cards don't bother me. But I find with my clients, if you're going to use the traditional imagery, sometimes in a smaller scale, they're not as intimidating. For some reason, it's not as scary. If you're a real stickler for the corner, being a round-ish corner and not a perfectly round corner, that might bother you. I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially in a mini deck. I'm more happy that the cards are printed in the center of the card. Nothing is off center, and the card feels good in the hand. So the roundish corner, I would have preferred a round corner, but it doesn't really bother me. Looking at my list to see if there's anything else. Oh, the sides, the cutting. So the cutting is smooth-ish. It's got like a little bit of, I don't know, I call it fuzz. It's kind of like a peach fuzz. It's not perfectly smooth, and I know that if I use this deck more often, that would smooth out just from my fingers, you know, rubbing against each other, being on the table. But so far, since again I've only used it a handful of times, it still has that peach fuzz on it. The font size, even though it's such a teeny tiny little card, you can still see and read the title of the card really well. The size of the font is nice. Go to the guidebook. This font is really teeny tiny. And it's the kind of guidebook where it has multiple languages. Okay, let me go to the English section. Let's see how many pages are in English. So up to page 7 is in English, and there are 32 pages, okay? So the sample reading we're going to do is this 3-card spread. It's hindsight, insight, and foresight, okay? So if you're a new tarot reader and you're looking for new spreads, you're probably familiar already with the past, present, future spread. This is a different spin on that. So this one is hindsight, insight, and foresight. So let's just shuffle these, try to get a few more reversals in there. One thing I want to say is I really love the back on this card. It's really cute. I'm not a big fan of the back on my Rider-Waite deck. All of my other Rider-Waite decks that I have, I love the backs. I'm probably going to butcher the names of those decks, so I don't want to do that, but I know I have the Centennial edition, and then I have like some green box. I don't know. It's a collector edition. I don't remember what that one's called, but I love that one. That one's green. It has like these little fleur-de-lis, I think, on it. Or maybe it's the Rose and Lily. I don't remember really, but it's got gold foil. That one is probably my favorite back of the Rider-Waite. Okay, let's see. So we have our 3 cards. I love how tiny this is. It takes up like almost no room. It's perfect for big spreads. I know I already said that, but I'm just like really hammering that home. Okay, card 1, hindsight. This is the role you and or outside causes, wait, what does that say? Played in creating the situation at hand. Okay. So hindsight, here we have the Star. I see this as the fixer, somebody who tried to fix the situation, somebody tried to mend it. I see this as like being a peacekeeper, a mediator type of energy. Okay. Insight. This is the most important thing you can learn about yourself in the present situation. 4 of Swords. Oh, so I didn't know if I said that. That was the Star. And then here we have the 4 of Swords. I feel like you've done all you can. Now it's time to sit back and rest. I see this as being at peace. So when this card comes up in situations of conflict, I'm really drawn to the window more than anything. I love the line that separates these people in the stained glass. And there's one person here who's sitting. It's a little bit harder to see in this deck than it is on my traditional Rider-Waite. But this person appears to be in a position of power or authority. This person has their hands together. They're pleading with this person. And to me, this person seems to be asking for another chance, for forgiveness, or asking for something. I'm really drawn to this. It's like a coffin, but sometimes this reminds me of a bed, sometimes a marriage bed. And there's that same, well, in my other Rider-Waite, it's the same color. And it's the line, right, that separates them. And this person's sleeping on the issue. Like they're not taking action. They're thinking about it. They're going to sleep on it before they make a decision. And what are they sleeping on? They're sleeping on the issue. The thing that upset them, okay? They're really thinking things over, and these things are looming over this person. Card 3, this is the foresight. Now you understand the past and the present. This is how you can integrate the information and move forward in your highest good. Here we have the World in the reverse. Okay, so I could see this as even if things don't work out in your favor in the way that you expected them to, even if things are over, just being at peace, knowing that you tried your best. You came with good intentions. Sometimes people don't have to accept your apology. Sometimes things won't go in the way that you had hoped or planned, and that's okay. But I feel like that's not staying stuck here, not staying trapped, knowing that you did your best, you tried, and moving on, no matter what the outcome is. So that's the way this deck reads. Let me know what you think about that spread. Maybe pull your own cards and see how they turned out for you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the deck. Let me know what you think about it. And if you have it, if you like it, if not, why not? I'd love to hear about it. I will see you soon. Bye for now, gems.